Hi, it's Mrs. Golding. We're on your math packet on page 19, and it's problem number 3. This is a cool sandbox that has been created to use as an archaeological digging area at the zoo. So archaeology is where you dig up the past, right? So archaeologists find bones and they find pottery and they find arrowheads and really cool things. Have you ever found any of those things? I know I have found some really cool arrowheads before and some rocks and things like that. So this is a cool sandbox that's meant to help people learn about archaeology while they're digging. Okay, so it says we need to determine the volume of the sandbox. Now, there's a couple ways that you can approach a problem like this. So when we find volume, right, we got to remember volume of a rectangular prism, which is what we're talking about here. Volume is equal to length times width times height, right? Okay, so you got those three dimensions because it's a three-dimensional figure. And a lot of people would take this and they would cut it right here, and then they'd find the volume of this rectangular prism, and they would add it to the volume of this rectangular prism. I'm going to tell you, you can absolutely do that. I'm going to approach it in a different way just so you can see it in a different way, okay? So I'm going to pretend like this comes out, and I'm going to find the volume as if there wasn't that like chunk cut out, and then I'm going to subtract, right? So one is additive, or you're adding together, and the other one is subtracting. So I'm going to show you the subtracting method. Okay, so I'm going to draw this back. So this is the piece that I'm kind of adding in my mind, so that if it was as if it was a whole rectangular prism, right? And so for this one, our base that we're going to use goes along here, and that is the same as this value right here, which is 5 meters. So I know I have to multiply that 5 meters. 5 meters, and I'm going to make it 5 over 1. I need to multiply that by my width, and for my width, I'm going to use 4 1/3 meters, and I'm going to change that to a improper fraction. I'm going to make that 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13 thirds, and I need to multiply that times my height. Now this is going to come out interesting. My height is 1/5. Okay, so when I was saying that you could cut it here, you realize you could also cut it here, right? You could decompose this shape a couple different ways. So this is just another one. Okay, so we're going to multiply it by the height of 1/5. The cool thing about this is that when you multiply 3 fractions, right, you can still use your rules to simplify before you multiply. Nice thing, watch this. 5 and 5 have a common factor of 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1 and 1, right? So we have lost 2 fractions, and we're just left with 13 thirds. The volume of the whole entire thing, even with that fake part that I created, is going to be just simply 4. I'm going to erase that. I'm going to actually leave it improper for right now. It's actually just 13 thirds as a fraction. That's the whole thing, right? Then we have to subtract this other piece, okay? So for that other piece, I'm going to go here, and we're going to use these dimensions, okay? So for going along here, right here, we're going to use 2 1/3. So that's going to be 7 thirds as an improper fraction, right? And then we're going to use a height, which is going to match right here, which is 1/5. And we're going to use this length, which is going to be the same as here, which is the same as here, which is 2 3/4. That's 8, 9, 10, 11/4. Okay? When you come back, I will be multiplying those all together.